Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Oh Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Prabhupada ki jai. Satchinandana Gauda Hari ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astoktara Sarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astoktara Sarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Param Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astoktara Sarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Astoktara Sarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Arupa Nuga Guru Varigya ki jai. Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Prananandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyanam Jala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katala Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Tarava Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Anapita Chirin Chirat Karuna Vartino Kalo Samarapatam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatamba Sadipita Sadakradare Kandare Swadatu Vasachinandanaha Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karma Ditarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vajami Radam Aravinda Netram Smarami Radam Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radam Karuna Paradram Tato Mamarasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Rate Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. First of all, offering millions and millions of Dandava pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarzalashishima Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarzalashishima Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And to our most esteemed, revered Namo Om Vishnu Vadaya Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate, and all our Rupa Nuga Guru Varya and all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of them.
Maharaj, can you put it a little up?
It's down?
The sound.
Maybe change it. Tell me straight away, those people who are watching, if the sound is down. I'll try to adjust something. Okay, so continuing with our Jaiva Dharma study, and we're into the first four, is that correct? So
Pate dharma nama chale, Bhagavata kahe sab paripurna chale. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 1st chapter, 2nd shloka, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada calls it, he says there's two types of dharma. There's Pashu Dharma and Nitya Dharma. This Pashu Dharma is eating, sleeping, mating and defending. This kind of dharma, many individuals think this is the principal focus of our existence. They're always concerned with their various... Should we change it again? They're always concerned, I mean most of the people in the world today are concerned with economic development. If you listen to or hear any of the governments speak, they're only speaking about their economic welfare. This is the principle, and this is they're thinking that this is dharma, that everything has dharma.
Can I turn it?
Is it so bad again?
No, no. I'll just.
You can't hear me properly? Okay. So many objects have their dharma, and like the dharma of sugar is sweetness, and the dharma of water is liquidity, etc. This is the dharma, its intrinsic nature. And our intrinsic nature is to serve God, and yet because of our mistaken identity, we're serving the body, and we're calling this dharma. So that is the deceptive nature and aspect of dharma. Okay, so Chale dharma chadi kara satya dharme mati chaturvagita jitara nitya prema gati.
One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and observe his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem.
So this is what this Jaiva Dharma is trying to accomplish, to bring the materially conditioned soul out of his material conditioning and into the light of transcendental reality. This is what the whole purpose of this Jaiva Dharma presentation is about. People hearing okay? Amitva mimamsa brahme nija jade buddhi nirvishesha brahma jnana chita sudhi.
Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahma jnana.
So we've said so many times, this is the alternative to actually moksha. This is what people are aspiring for. If they're not aspiring for material wealth, karma, then they're aspiring for moksha, mukti. And previously, historically, this was the goal of life for all spiritual seekers. This is what Srila Vyasadeva was speaking mostly. So we've already discussed this. Ivichitrata hina kale hale nirvishesh hoy kala samantulya seha aprakata noy.
The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus he rejects Sri Bhagavan's Vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities and Leela. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesha Brahma.
If we're not focusing on the beauty and speciality of Krishna's qualities, how are we going to absorb our hearts and minds and consciousnesses in Krishna? Unless we're hearing about them, talking about them, thinking about them, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, etc., then we are naturally going to be thinking about the external bodily conditioned problems and so on that will come in life. And this is all Naimitic Dharma. So this whole treatise, this whole book, Jaiva Dharma, is simply trying to elevate us out of this conditioned state of consciousness. Kanda Gyane Hoya Dharma Ache Sunischaya Prakriti Hoya Kabu Aprakratanaya.
Such base and contemptible jnana, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakrita dharma.
Yes, we shouldn't confuse the two. Sometimes with sentimentality, we can't distinguish. Sometimes we think a subtle reality is the highest conception because we have some subtle awareness, something like that. But we should know this distinction between matter and spirit, and this is the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita gives us exactly the same teachings. We can read from any part of Bhagavad Gita and get the same understanding there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making this point very, very clear. This is like the initial conception of just what is Sambandha Gyan. Without the platform of Sambandha Gyan, we can't go forward. So is everyone hearing okay? Completely okay. So yesterday we discussed the topic of Pratibimba and Chaya, Bhav, Abbas. And then we moved into the, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur started winding up this topic of Bhav. Basically, we've come from what is the practice, sadhana, abhinivesh chabhav, or if we're really specially blessed, then prasad chabhav is the way that this bhav can manifest. So he's describing the external, in a sense, what bhav actually looks like, how it's a ray of the sun of prem. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prem Suryavam Samyabhak Ruchi Bis Tija Mishnu Shud Ashu Bhav Uchyate. This verse from Rupa Goswami is describing that Bhav is a ray of the sun of Prem. So we're getting some conception here. And practically for all of us, we know this is a journey in process. We haven't reached this stage, but we're hearing the encouragement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to take us towards this platform of Bhav Bhakti. Because unless we're going in this direction, then our sadhana is useless. It doesn't have any worth. And I gave the example the other day, like putting petrol into the car, but where are you going to drive it when the car is full of petrol? Unless you know clearly the direction and the focus. And for us as sadhaks, it means immersing ourselves in remembrance of Krishna's pastimes. It means reading books like the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, or even just the beginning of the Bhagavatam, seriously applying ourselves to a study of the Bhagavatam. I think there's 335 chapters in the Bhagavatam. If you sit down for 1 year, there's 365 days in the year, so you get some days off. But basically, if you read a chapter every day, then you can complete the whole Bhagavatam in a single year. So it's not out of our reach, and if we haven't read or studied the Bhagavatam, we should begin, because it's the foundation of Sambandha Gyan. And then, with the first 9 cantos, then we'll come to the 10th canto. And in the 10th canto, we're introduced to the personality very much realistically, in the sense of Krishna in Vrindavan as a child, his Balya Leela, with Mother Yashoda, etc., stumbling around in the courtyard with the cows, pulling their tails and being slid through the courtyard and doing so much stealing of butter. Why is he stealing butter? Because he knows the hearts of all the elderly gopis only actually want to give all the fruit of their labor to Krishna. They're all Nitya Siddha Parigas who have taken birth in Vrindavan. And he knows that they want to actually give it to him, but through circumstances it's not possible just to give. So Krishna goes to their houses and steals it, because he wants to taste their prem in the form of their butter. So this is his ongoing activities. And it was the same in Gaura Leela. Mahaprabhu was also a very mischievous boy, and he was often stealing the offerings of the young gopis, young girls on the bank of the Ganga, who were making, and the Brahmins' offerings also. We know the beautiful story of when the Brahmin came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, and he was a very effulgent soul, and he made 3 offerings, trying to offer them to his Shalagram, and each time Nimai came and took those offerings, and even in the middle of the night. But then Nimai reveals his 6-armed form to him, I think, or his 8-armed form, and that Brahmin was just amazed. His 8-armed form he relieved. And so like these are the beautiful pastimes of the Balya Leela. And in the 10th canto we get those very prominently. And then we hear his Poganda Leela, where he's defeating so many demons in Vrindavan.
the Aghasura demon, and Kaliya Daman, etc. Kaliya demon, and Bakasura. No, Bakasura he defeats when he's in Balya Lila, when he's very young. But all the Dhenukasura, Baladev, and Pralambasura also, Baladev, and then Vyomasura, and Keshi demon, Aristasura. All these demons are described, and Krishna is the hero, killing all these demons. And then we come into the chapter 20 of the 10th canto, which is amazing. And this chapter 20 is called the rainy season. And the whole chapter consists of a description of Vrindavan after the rainy season, when all the lakes are filled with clear water, when all the trees are blossoming with so much fruits and foliage. And there's a very beautiful description of the backdrop of all of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then we come after this chapter. It's like a break almost. And after this chapter, then we come into some very esoteric pastimes. The first chapter after that, chapter 21, is Venu Geet. And this pastime where the gopis are sitting in their homes and they're expressing their deep affection to Krishna. I'm explaining these because this is the actual focus of the sadhak who is concerned to achieve that stage of bhav. He wants to come to that stage of bhav. So he's immersing himself in these different Vrindavan pastimes of when Krishna is, especially his pastimes with the gopis. So then after the Venu Geet pastimes, then Krishna stealing the clothes of the young gopis, and then it's going into lifting Govardhan Hill. But there are so many references to Krishna and his Swarup Shakti, Sri Radhika, and their mounting relationship. Even though Shukadev Goswami doesn't mention the name Radha one time, because if he did, he would go into such ecstasy, he wouldn't be able to complete the Bhagavatam. He knows that Parikshit only has 7 days left before the snake bird will bite him. So he wants to conclude all of Krishna's pastimes. And Shukadev Goswami is full of all these rich pastimes. So then it comes to the Pranaya Gita in the 29th chapter. This is so intimate when the gopis have run to answer the call of Krishna's flute song. They've left everything behind, Naparyeham Niravadya. They left everything behind, their homes, their families, children, etc. And Krishna is rejecting them. So now we're getting the consideration of the depth of the gopis' love. How do they cope with that rejection from Krishna? And it's beautiful because the gopis, they counter Krishna's directions or orders that they should go back to the village of Braj. And they melt Krishna's heart. Krishna just wants to see them. How much eager are they really? Because this is the path of Raganuga. This is what we discussed in the previous chapter. What is the qualification? What is the quality of Rag Marg? It's enthusiasm. So if we're enthusiastically studying these different chapters about the gopis, and then there's Gopi Geet there, this song of separation performed on the banks of the Jamuna, where they know that there's no trees obstructing the sound. They know Krishna must hear this song of separation. And these verses are just so glorious in themselves, just simply the verses themselves and the understanding of those verses. It gives us an insight into the gopis' heart. This is only the Srimad Bhagavatam. What to speak of the other separate books by Rupa Goswami? In his Ujjvala Nilamani in particular, this is describing such intimate, personal, emotional connections between Krishna and all the different Sakhis and Priya Sakhis, etc. And this Ujjvala Nilamani is a book that the devotees can immerse themselves in for the whole life. And then there's Ujjvala Vidagdha Madhav. There's Ananda Vrindavan Champu, which is another compilation of the 10th canto. Then there's the Sanatan Goswami, his Brihat Bhagavatamrita, and the Toshan, what's it called? The Toshan, Amrita. Yeah, anyway, his book on the 10th canto. Bhagavat Toshani, yes, something like that. And I haven't completed that yet. That's why I couldn't remember the name. But all of this stockpile of the 10th canto descriptions are there for the sadhak to immerse himself in these parts. And this is the objective or the direction of the Bhav Bhakta. Is great, and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's Krishna book. This is also the 10th canto. This is also describing all of these different pastimes. So gradually, the sadhak has an opportunity to really immerse himself in the relationships between the Brijbasis and Krishna, because this will bring us to this stage of bhav, this potential of bhav within the heart will arise. But this is the focus in our understanding of what is bhav bhakti. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur here, he's just making a framework of the house, so to speak. He's giving us the 9 qualities of Yakta Kaladvam, Viraktiya Manasunyata, Ashabana Sumutkanta, Nama Gana Sudaruchi, Priti Stat, Vistate Stale. What's the last one? Forgot that. Tad Vistate Stale Priti. Yeah. Ashaktis Tat Gunat Kine. So these qualities will, we can focus on if we perceive these qualities are beginning to rise at the same time as we're immersing our consciousnesses in these beautiful, rich pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And this is why our Kartik Brat is so essential to really focus on. We should take all our various savors and work off the table, and for the month of Kartik, close the computers, close everything, and simply focus on the pastimes for 30 days. This will give us such an infusion into the 10th canto, into all of Krishna's pastimes, because going to all the different holy places, there's so many other pastimes that aren't mentioned in the 10th canto, that we will hear the descriptions of, like Radhakund, for example, Shamakund, Kusum Sarovar, Uddhavkund, all of these different places, Giriraj Govardhan. So all of these descriptions are there in the month of Kartik. So this will inspire us towards this mood, this stage of Bhav Bhakti. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is just winding up this topic here, and I think it's at the top of page 518 that we're up to today. I'll read this where we read yesterday. We read this paragraph yesterday. Rati is by nature restless, asanti, warm, vigorous, and blissful, because it is perpetually full of increasing spiritual longing, abhilas. Although it produces warmth in the form of sanchari bhav. Sanchari bhavs are those waves that come on the lake of the stai bhav. The stai bhav is the internal steady relationship, the siddhadeya relationship that we have with Krishna in one of the principal 5 rasas. And then there are waves, transitory waves, vyabhachari bhavs or sanchari bhavs. They're both the same, just different names. And these waves, they come, play on the top of that. And when there are these waves, then the rasa is very relishable. When there's no waves, when there's no sanchari bhavs, the rasa becomes quite flat. So all of these topics we'll discuss in the last 14 chapters, which is the Prayojan Tantra. But this is just giving us an indication of where we're going now. Although it produces warmth in the form of sanchari bhavs, it is more cooling than millions of moons, and it tastes as sweet as nectar. When Brajanath and Vijay Kumar heard this explanation of Bhav Tattva, they were wonderstruck and sat silently for a while, absorbed in thoughts of Bhav. After some time, they said, Prabhu, the powerful rain of your nectarian instructions has created a flood of prem in our scorched hearts. Now, what should we do? Where should we go? We cannot understand anything. It is very difficult for us to attain bhav because our hearts are bereft of humility. Only someone who is humble can speak in this way. Only a humble person will say, I have no prem, like Mahaprabhu, Aganda Prem. He says he doesn't even have a cent of prem. And who is the most humble personality in all of existence? It's Sri Radhika. And she is the manifester of absolutely everything in existence. And she even controls Krishna, but she is the most humble at the same time. So this quality of humility must be really inspired in the heart of the sadhak. We are full of pride because of our Brahman birth, and the only thing that can save us is your abundant love and mercy. If you bestow a drop of prem on us, we shall certainly achieve our objective. Our only hope is that we have been able to establish a spiritual relationship with you. This is so important, to establish a spiritual relationship with the spiritual master. Unless that relationship has been fixed and solid, how can the spiritual master possibly infuse the most confidential truths into the heart of the sadhak? If there's always reservation, if there's always fear, if there's always hesitation, then how can these confidential truths actually become manifest? It's very difficult. So all the acharyas, especially my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, all glorified copiously their own gurus. We see any pure Mahabhagavat personality, he will give all credence for his own purification or anything that he had. We heard yesterday about Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj when they were trying to celebrate his appearance day while he was on the planet. And he said, no, only everything is, I am Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's pet dog. He wasn't just a dog, he was a pet dog, because he sensed that he'd been given that seva practically right in the very beginning of that Danya Nadia Prakash. He'd been given that seva. So he felt very close to his Guru Maharaj. And all the way through his life as a practicing sadhak, he did nothing except glorify his Guru. So all of the acharyas do like this. So this is our heart's intention, is to connect and create this sambandha with Guru. Absolutely essential. If you bestow a drop of prem on us, we shall certainly achieve our objective. Our only hope is that we have been able to establish a spiritual relationship with you. Spiritual relationship really means being submissive to Guru's instructions. If Guru wants to, Guru's only intention is the same as Krishna's. This is why they're non-different. They just want to simply fulfill our spiritual desire. And the spiritual desire of all conditioned souls is to connect in service to the Supreme Lord and his parikas, or Sri Radhika, like this. So that is the intention of Guru. Only that. We are extremely poor, wretched, and destitute, and you are Krishna's dear associate and supremely merciful. Please be merciful to us and instruct us as to our duty. So they more or less express their gratitude, because now in these next chapters, 3 chapters on Nam Tattva will follow, and Babaji is going to be answering their questions about Nam. But after these 3 chapters, Raghunath Das Babaji goes out of the picture, so to speak, because then they move to Puri, and it's Gopal Guru who becomes their guide from this point on. So Raghunath Das Babaji is also winding up his time with these 2 personalities. Vijay Kumar took advantage of the opportunity and said, "At this very moment, Prabhu, the desire is arising in me to renounce householder life." This is not coming into the material consideration particularly. Vijay Kumar is sharing his heart with his Guru, and he has a dilemma whether to remain in household life. He's not a young man, he's 60 odd years old at this point. and he's considering seriously leaving his household condition and just immersing himself in bhajan. He's understood sufficiently this is the principal focus of life. There isn't anything else. So he's weighing up this situation, and he's doing the right thing. He's asking his guru for his blessings or his hesitation on actually doing this at this point. Prabhu, the desire is arising in me to renounce householder life and obtain residence as a servant at your lotus feet. Brajanath is just a boy, and his mother wants him to become a grihastha, but he does not desire to do so. Please give your instruction as to what he should do in this connection. So we'll see how Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the answer to these questions as a guru. Babaji, you have both received Krishna's mercy. You should serve Krishna by transforming your household into Krishna's household. This is the principle. My Gurudev used to say exactly the same. If you're married, stay married. And if you're not married, stay not married. In either condition, don't keep jumping around from ashram to ashram. This is nonsense. Whichever ashram we're in, we stay in that ashram, carefully performing the duties of that ashram. If we're brahmachari, then perform the duties of brahmachari. If we're vanaprastha, then perform the duties of that. If we're grihastha, then perform the duties, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. So in whichever ashram, just remain there. Don't be jumping around and aspiring, because very often if you're looking at another alternative, it means you're not really living in the present, and you're not coping with the present situation, which is giving abundant mercy. Every situation for the bhakta is filled with mercy if we can perceive it. You have both received Krishna's mercy. You should serve Krishna by transforming your household into Krishna's household. Everyone should act according to the instructions which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to the world. He taught that there are two ways by which one may worship Bhagavan while in this world. One may live as a householder or in the renounced order. Until one is qualified to take up the renounced order, he should remain a householder and engage in Krishna's service. So in either capacity, it's not about the external, it's about the internal development. But it's a fact that when we're not in householder life, you certainly have more time at your disposal to engage more solidly in Krishna consciousness. When you're in householder life, there are challenges to distract you every day when you're raising children, etc. But nevertheless, it's not a disqualification of a spiritual life. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. In any stage, at any time, practice Krishna consciousness in all stages of life. In the first 24 years of his manifest pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed the ideal for a Grihastha Vaishnava, and during his last 24 years, he set the ideal for a renounced Vaishnava. Mahaprabhu's example as a Grihastha established the goal of householder life. In my opinion, you should also do the same. You should not think that one cannot attain the goal of Krishna Prem in household life. Most of Mahaprabhu's favored devotees were Grihasthas, and even Vaishnavas in the renounced order of life pray for the dust from the lotus feet of those Grihastha Bhaktas. Who are those Grihastha Bhaktas? Advaita Acharya, Ramananda Rai, Narahari, Shivananda Sen. Yes, so many personalities were Srivas Thakur, Sarvabhauma. So many personalities were Grihasthas and were strictly following this Dharma of Vaishnava Dharma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself was the excellent example. 12, 13 children, having a district magistrate's job simultaneously, and at the same time managing to write so many books for the welfare of humanity. So we can see by his example. So yes, there are so many revered Grihastha Bhaktas in the parikars of Mahaprabhu. So what has Babaji said? Babaji said it's a safe place to remain in the household of life. So he's more or less cancelled Vijay's idea to leave his family, and he's encouraged Brajanath's idea to get married. So both things he's saying that. There's some messages coming, you should look. The night was far advanced. Vijay Kumar and Brajanath spent the whole night in Srivasangam, chanting the glories of Sri Hari in the company of other Vaishnavas. At dawn the next morning, they finished their ablutions, bathed in the Ganga, and then offered Dandavat Pranam at the feet of their Gurudev and the Vaishnavas. Then they again formed Sankirtan, took Mahaprasad, and returned home before noon. These little interludes of the descriptions of the pastimes are very inspiring window into the life of a Vaishnava, what he does with his time. He engages in Sankirtan, he engages in honoring Mahaprasad, he engages in bathing in the Ganga, he engages in these different activities in his life, in his time, etc. So this is inspiring for the bhaktas. They then again performed Sankirtan, took Mahaprasad, and returned home before noon. Vijay Kumar called his sister and said, "Now Brajanath will marry, so you should make the necessary preparations. I am going to Modrum for a few days. You can send news to me when you have fixed a date for the wedding. I shall come with other family members to enhance the auspicious marriage ceremony. I shall send my young brother Harinath here tomorrow. He will stay here and arrange everything." Brajanath's mother and paternal grandmother felt as if they had obtained sovereignty over the earth. Completely overjoyed, they presented Vijay Kumar with new clothes and other gifts before they bade him farewell. So this is the end of the 22nd chapter. So we're going to conclude our Jaiva Dharma classes. Tomorrow I would like to speak one more day to capsulate what we have read to date, to just very briefly go through these 22 chapters and show how they form a beautiful, sublime necklace of truths, of evolving truths. We have the chapters in the first 12 chapters, and then we have the beginning of the Dasmula in the 13th chapter, and we have the evolution through these principal truths of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna as Sarva Shaktiman, Krishna as Rasabdim, as the embodiment of Ras. And then we have the 3 chapters about the Jiva, Jiva Tattva itself, Vibhinamsa Tattva. And then we have the Jivas controlled by Maya, then we have the Jivas liberated by Maya. Then chapter 18, we have this remarkable jewel of Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us. And then in the 19th chapter, we begin our focus on what is Raganuga Bhakti. And in the 19th chapter, it's saying what is Vaidhi Marg, what is this sadhan Bhakti, what are the Angas of Bhakti in the 19th chapter. And then in the 20th, is that correct? Yes, 20th chapter, we come to Abhideya, Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti, and a discussion here that is showing us that the path ultimately is only Rag. And in this chapter 20, let's get to it. Oh, Abhideya Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, sorry, in chapter 20. So this is the prelude to the chapter about Raganuga Bhakti. So in this Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, yes, this is the 64 Angas are described. This is in chapter 20. So this is making the foundation again in chapter 20. So chapter 19 was Abhideya Tattva, which was opening out the principle of the focus on Bhav Bhakti and the sadhan to achieve that. And then we had the angas in Vaidhi Bhakti, and then in chapter 21 we have the sadhan of Raganuga Bhakti.
In 19, the two shlokas, Anyabhilashita Shunya, and the other shloka is explaining.
Which other shloka? Yes, this was Kleshagni Shubhada. Yes, this is in the 19th chapter. So Anyabhilasita Shunyam and Kleshagni Shubhada, Mokshalubhavakrit. So these two verses are prominently there, delineating the Abhideya. And then we've come into the Angas, 64 Angas in the 20th chapter. The 21st chapter is Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti, and we've just concluded the chapter on Bhav Bhakti. So that's just a very, very brief summary. But tomorrow, I'll meet one more time. That'll be Friday tomorrow. Then I won't meet with you on Saturday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, Thursday, there's the disappearance day of Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Krishnadas Kaviraj. So we can meet next Thursday. So tomorrow I'll be speaking on a summary of what we've read to date, and then we'll conclude it for our Kartik Prikrama talks. And I'll be beginning the Kartik Prikrama, the prelude for Kartik Prikrama, actually on the 27th. Kartik begins on the 28th of October, but I'll be beginning on the 27th, and I'll discuss Durvasa Rishi Ashram, because we usually go there before the actual Parikrama begins, so we can discuss Lohavan, which is the forest where Durvasa Rishi Ashram is situated today. So we can discuss that. So today I'll just finish early, and we won't go further, but we can just meditate on this chapter, the various teachings that we've had from this Bhav Bhakti chapter, and the principal instruction in this Bhav Bhakti has been these 9 symptoms. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has really gifted you, and he's told us what is duplicitous Bhav, because he knows Kubhav, he knows the nature, and what is Pratibimba Bhav, and what is Chaya Bhav. He knows the nature of the conditioned souls in Kali Yuga in particular, because this is who he's writing for. They're going to be prone to want to imitate the great sadhaks from history, etc., and want to try to put themselves forward rather than focus on the object of devotion, who is Krishna. So this is our objective, is how to bring the focus of Krishna into the heart of our practice. And I've described at the beginning of this session today, particularly about the 10th canto, because this is where we can really begin to get our clear focus on these 5 or 6 Geets, because I've said before that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he includes the Viraha Geet, when Krishna and Balaram are being taken by Akrura away from Vrindavan, and the gopis are so shocked that the Nanda Baba and Yashodama and all the other Sakas are allowing this to take place. They intuitively know that Krishna's not going to come back. He doesn't come back for 100 years. He says, I will come back after 2 or 4 days. But they know that it's not going to be like that. For the gopis, Yugaitam Namishena, Chakshusam Prajaitam, Sunyaitam Jagatsavam, Govinda Hirmane. They feel like a single moment is like a yuga for them, a millennium of separation. So how are they going to feel when Krishna goes to Mathura? So this is an extraordinary situation for the gopis, and we hear so many teachings or descriptions of the gopis in Uddhav Kyari. because Uddhav, he visits this place, which today we call Uddhav Kyari. Previously, it was a forest adjoining Nandagaon, and there's Vishaka Kund in that forest, a huge forest of Kadamba trees, and there's Vishaka Kund there, and there's a Rasa Leela pastime that takes place there, and it's also the place of the most highest experiences of separation by the gopis when they sit for 100 years in this place waiting for Krishna. We cannot imagine. Krishna is demonstrating the height of the gopis' prema, that they're able to endure that. Because the more we come to appreciate from reading other passages in the 10th canto, this Pranaya Gita, these different Gits I've mentioned, then we start to appreciate how much attached are the gopis to Krishna. They can't live without him. It's just like a fish out of water, especially Radhika. So this is what the devotee wants to immerse himself in. Thoughts of the gopis' separation. And of course, that will include pastimes of their union and meeting, particularly the Ras Leela, which are so joyful. So all these pastimes are there to encourage us. So these qualities of bhav will manifest when the object of bhav is Krishna and is my natural attraction for Krishna. Then these qualities of su-bhav, pure bhav, will arise in the heart. But anything other than this will be kubhav, or will be chaya bhav, or even worse, pratibimba bhav. So we've been through these expressions. So even if we haven't understood anything, at least we're hearing for the first time an indication about this. And we're getting some sense of the sequence of our practice coming from sadhana bhakti. What is the purpose and intention? The purpose and intention is to come to bhav bhakti. And what is bhav bhakti? It's meditating on the object of our service, this amal prem seva. So this is the heart of these teachings to date. And tomorrow we will briefly go through all the chapter up to chapter 22. I just try to make a synopsis and just to demonstrate how they are all culminating in this Bhav Bhakti chapter that we've just concluded. And then Nam, the next 3 chapters, which incidentally we should appreciate, are in the center of this book. This book is bound either side by a cover, so to speak, but in the very heart of this book is Nam Tattva, and what is not Nam, Nam Aparad, Nam Abas. These 3 chapters on Nam. So it's just like in the Gita, the Bhakti chapters are kept in the center from chapter 7 till chapter 12. These are the Bhakti chapters exclusively. And they've got a covering of karma in the first 6 chapters and Gyan in the last chapters, are protecting the delicacy of Bhakti in the center chapter. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's crafted this amazing scripture to have Nam Tattva in the very center, protected. But I once asked my Gurudev, I said, could I take out these 3 chapters of Nam Tattva and make them into a separate publication? And my Gurudev said something very beautiful to me. He said, if you've got a block of gold, which part of it is more valuable? In other words, the whole of this book is like gold. How can you just separate one part and say this is the principle? Yet, at the same time, he said, yes, this Nam Tattva is driving everything in the sadhak's life. It's actually supporting us in the initial stages, it's keeping us in our focused practice, and it's carrying us into the middle stages of our absorption in Tattva, and it's carrying us into our conclusion of appreciation and heart-melting ruchi, taste for the prayojan descriptions. So in every single case, this Nam Tattva is going to be prominent from the beginning to the end. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's cast it in the middle of this book, which is very beautiful. So we'll stop here for today, and I think it's a little bit early, 5 minutes early, but no more. And tomorrow we will just make a synopsis before we take a break for 5 days, because I don't want to start this Nam Tattva now. I'd rather do it all in one section after Kartik. After Kartik, we'll come straight back to this and appreciate this Nam Tattva fully at that time. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. End.